That's why we out here. It's to go check our money.
Hi everyone, I'm Nyazika. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. So in this video, this is my first 2018 video, and I wanted to start it off with a Q&A. I posted on my Instagram page a few weeks ago for people to ask me anything that they wanted to know about me, about my business, and anything pretty much. So I got a few questions from a lot of you. And most of them were either about business or about moving back to Zimbabwe. So what I thought to do was to split it into two parts and have this as part one, where I answer all the questions about moving back to Zimbabwe, and then answer the second part about my business and so forth in a part two of this Q&A. Okay, so I'm just going to read out. I had so many questions. I had to read all of them out. Yeah, it was something else. I had like so many questions, so yeah. So let's go ahead and answer some of those questions. So I'm just going to read out the question and then answer it as well. I guess the first one was quite funny for me. Are you engaged or single? I am neither engaged nor single. I am actually married. I had the lobola last year in December. A lot of people saw the picture of, I think it was on my page and also on my friends' pages, and people thought that I was engaged in those pictures, but those pictures were actually my lobola pictures. So I'm not engaged and I'm not single. I am actually married. I'm a married woman now. How does it feel to be a missus? Well, it feels normal. Yeah, I think it was just natural for us. So it doesn't feel weird. And it's not something that's like, oh my god, there's so much difference now that I'm married. It's just one of those things that I'm now not Karen Nyazika anymore, if that makes sense. I'm now Carol Mhlanga. So I think that's probably the only thing that's different, but everything else is pretty fine. How old are you? I am 29. I turned 29 in December. For those of you who don't know, I'm actually Carol because I was named after Christmas carols, because my birthday is on Boxing Day. Yeah, Tamara asks for me to share my skincare and hair care routine, but I think I will do that in a separate video. I've got a lot of videos coming up this year. I'm going to try and be consistent this year, so we'll see. What are the challenges you faced when you moved to Zim in terms of adjusting? Okay, so I was in the UK for 10 years before I moved back to Zimbabwe, but then within those 10 years, I think 4 or 5 of those years, or was it 8 of those years, I was coming back to Zimbabwe twice a year. So in terms of adjusting, I didn't really need to adjust because I had familiarized myself so much by being here frequently. So I was here for a lot of the changes in terms of how the situation was to where it is now. So it didn't really shock me when I came back. I knew what I needed to have in place before I moved back. So to be honest, adjusting wasn't really a major thing because it wasn't a shock. So I think if you are thinking of moving back, take some time to come back quite frequently to see what you can do when you come back and what the situation currently is right now. Because I think when you're in the UK or in the diaspora, you have a perception of what Zimbabwe actually is and how the people are, but then you will get a rude awakening when you come here and you try and operate your business or go into employment and so forth. It's not what you think. So I think you need to come back, and not come back for 2 weeks because you still are not really fully engaged in the economy and the society and social life and so forth. So I think you need to come back for at least a month to 2 months for you to really immerse yourself in what's really going on and and understand what's going on. Any plans to move back to UK? Not anytime soon. I'm more established here now with my business, and it'll be tricky now because I can't just move and just make a decision on my own. My husband is American and I'm British, so it's one of those things that we have to have a conversation and do the reverse of what I just mentioned, in terms of go to the States or go to the UK and really see what we want to do and if it's the right fit for us before we actually make that decision. So right now, in the short term, no, I won't be moving back anytime soon, but I do come back to the UK quite often. I was in the UK twice last year, so now it's pretty much changed in terms of coming to Zimbabwe twice a year. I now go to the UK at least twice a year. What advice would you give to a 20-year-old you? Wow, when I was 20, I was still in university. I would tell myself to really follow my gut, to follow my instinct. I think at that age, it's very important to have a mentor that knows what they're talking about. So, because that will help you mold, it would have helped me mold who I was right now a bit better. And I think I would have been where I am a lot sooner. So I think definitely I would have considered to get, or I would actually tell myself to get a mentor that knows what they're talking about, and to trust myself, to trust my gut. That's really what I would have told myself. How did you find moving back to Zimbabwe and leaving a working economy with working systems? So, okay, how can I phrase this? I feel that it's nice to live in the UK where everything works, but I feel like when I was there, I wasn't growing much or at all. So I feel like being in Zimbabwe, although it doesn't have a perfect working system, but the system that's there is working right now for the people that are here. I think that the difference is that you can't come from the UK with the same mindset or perspective and think that the way you operate in the UK will work in Zimbabwe, and you can't think that people think the same as well. So I think that's the difference, and then you just have to make it work when you're here with the system that's here and whatever's working at this time. I definitely do think that the UK makes things a bit more accessible. So everything that you need, you can get. And that's what I possibly miss the most. I miss knowing that I can go on Amazon and just order something, and in 2 days it's at my door. I like knowing that, if I need a pencil skirt, I can just go to Topshop or wherever and get it. I don't have to think about a lot of things whilst I'm in the UK compared to when I'm here. So when you come to Zimbabwe, the thing that I feel is very frustrating is that when you need the basic things, they're either too expensive or you have to go outside the country to acquire them. However, the situation with the currency makes it that much more difficult with regards to being able to still access things outside of Zimbabwe. So everything is literally changing every day in Zimbabwe. So things that happened this time last year are literally not the same. And you just have to adapt and move forward. You can't. So at what point did I start feeling like Zim was home again? I don't know. I think it didn't really take a while, because I'm one of those people that adjusts and adapts very quickly. I was in boarding school since I was in grade 3. I moved to the UK after Form 4, so I've had a lot of changes in my life. So it feeling like home, I think it was a more of a mental thing. I knew what I wanted to do when I came back. Before I came back, I knew what the plan was. So I guess it didn't take long. I guess that's the answer. It didn't take long. The next question from the same person is churches to go to. Which churches to go to? Well, I go to BCC, which is Barrel Community Church, which is part of the Faith Ministries family. I mean, there's so many churches that you can go to. So what we did was that we went to different churches and then we picked BCC because we felt at home. We both felt at home. I mean, there were churches that he liked that I didn't like, and then there were churches that I liked that he didn't like. So it was very important for us to find a church together that we both liked and we can both start again with. So if you're thinking of moving back to Zimbabwe, I mean, it's up to you and what you prefer. I mean, there's Celebration Center, there's His Presence Ministries, there's BCC again, which is Faith Ministries, there's River of Life, I think it's called. There's so many churches in Zimbabwe because it's a predominantly Christian country. So it's all about your preference and what you are looking for in a church. Okay, so this question is another similar question. But she wants to know, she says it would be great to hear your perspective on adjusting and building a network, getting known in the market. So I'm not sure what type of market you're talking about in terms of business, or I'm not sure what exactly you mean by that. But I'll just answer it from the first part, which is how to build a network in Zimbabwe. I mean, okay, so for me, I think in Zimbabwe, you have a better chance of getting access to a lot of people, depending on who you know. So I think it's easier actually to engage or to meet a CEO, to engage with different types of people in different types of industries, depending on what you want to go into. Compared to the UK, I think the UK it's very difficult to just go to or to meet a CEO of, I don't know, $1 billion company, or a company that's doing well, or you can't just go and meet the CEO of a bank. But then if you're in Zimbabwe, there's a very highly likely chance of getting to meet the CEO of Stuart Bank or Barclays or CBZ or whatever. So I think it's easier to build your network if you know what you can offer. A lot of the time I feel like people want to know everybody, but then first of all, you're not really going to extract the value that you need from these people. And second of all, if you don't know what you can offer, it's going to be very hard for you to find the right people. So I think the best thing in terms of friendship or business or whatever is to really know why you want to build the network and what sort of people you want on your network. Because it's one thing to know a lot of people and not be able to tap into that, and then it's another thing to know exactly what you want and build your network correctly, because not all the time do you need to have a lot of people in your network. You just need to have the right people. I hope I've answered your question, because it wasn't too clear for me, so I hope that makes sense to you and to everybody else that's listening. Congratulations on being a Mrs. Does this mean we are going to see less of Karen Nyazika? No, that doesn't mean you're going to be seeing less of me. The good thing about my husband is that he is very encouraging. When I'm actually slacking, he tells me that I'm slacking. So I think you'll be seeing a lot more of me, hopefully. And yeah, you won't see less of me. I think that's the best answer that I can give you. Okay guys, so this is the end of the video of the Q&A. Thank you so much. I didn't want it to make it too long because a lot of the questions were repeated. So I hope I've answered your question in whichever form. So thank you so much for sending those questions through. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
That's why we out here, it's to go chaka money.